folks from the Mooney flight deck. Here's another beautiful flight. I'll show you around. I get to see things like that. Those nice smooth clouds. Call them lenticular clouds because they're somewhat lens shaped. Here in this area, they don't signify what they do out west. I'm in
1913.
I'm in Arkansas right now. Over Arkansas right now. And all those mean there's little waves of wind, and the temperature dew point are coming together and then coming back apart as the air drops back down. Certainly pretty to look at though. I'm flying a 1968 airplane. This airplane is 50 years old. You might wonder, is it safe to be flying a 50-year-old airplane?
2600 at 4000, heading 160.
But it's not quite the same as a car. In a car, as long as you can pass safety inspection in some states, and in some states not even that, as long as you're willing to drive it, you can take it on the road, go down the road. They're 1930, 1940 Ford with absolutely awful brakes, poorly designed suspension, steering that would scare you. You're legal, you can go. You can let it rust out to the point where the fenders are falling off. You're good, as long as your fenders don't fall off on the road and hurt somebody. Airplanes aren't like that. In order for an airplane to be certified to fly, it has to go through a process with the FAA. It has to meet what's called a type certificate. And the type certificate defines the airplane. Defines a lot of specifics about it. Furthermore, it has to meet all airworthiness standards, and every year, if it is to be flown, it has to be inspected, what's called an annual inspection. That annual inspection shows that the airplane meets its type certificate and meets all requirements for airworthiness, and that's done every year. So there's a checklist of items that have to be addressed as part of that annual inspection. And so this 1968 airplane, in most ways, is at least as good of an airplane as it was in 1968 when it came off the assembly line. In a lot of ways, it's significantly better than it was when it came off the assembly line, because we have modernized, and you get a panel of instruments like this to fly on. We have my Aspen, my GPS, my Garmin 430W, an older radio as my backup, transponder, audio panel, digital fuel levels, and engine monitor. Over on the right side, I've got a portable GPS. It's also an XM receiver, so I receive XM weather, and I also receive XM music. The radio up on the little white box up on the windshield is a receiver that also receives digital weather information and traffic. So you might wonder, what does it take to become an aircraft mechanic? Well, there are two routes into it. You can take training. That training, when I took it, was 5 quarters. I was at a college in a quarter system. So almost 2 years of training. That was 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. and that included classroom and shop time. At the end of that, I had to take a written test and an oral and practical test.
And remember 300 out, turn right heading to 190.
Once all those were passed, I was qualified to be what's called an A&P, airframe and power plant mechanic. Now that does not qualify me to do the annual inspection. In order to do the annual inspection, you have to have above the A&P, you have to have what's called an IA, which is inspection authorization. The IA requires, I believe, this is from memory, 2 or 3 years of work experience, and then you've got to go take another, I believe it's just a written test. I don't know. I don't have it, obviously. But once you do all those things, then you can proceed on and do inspections. So if you ever wanted to get into twisting wrenches on airplanes, that's what it takes. You can work under the supervision. Oh, the other route to A&P is work under the direct supervision of an established A&P in a shop on airplanes for, I believe it's 3 years. You have to log the time. You have to prove that you've done it. And then you can go take the written, oral, and practical test just like I had to as a graduate of a program. So that's how you get into mechanicking on airplanes. Now, airplanes and cars have things in common. You know, they have internal combustion engines, things that go back and forth, things that go around and around. They have electrical systems, they have hydraulic systems. But the philosophical approach to an airplane is fundamentally different from a car. In a car, you always have, or usually have, the option of pulling over to the side of the road should something go bad. And so not quite as much effort is put into dependability on cars as it is on airplanes. That being said, cars today are very dependable for the most part. But airplanes have the disadvantage of they can't just pull over if something breaks or sounds wrong or stinks or something like that. So a lot of work is put into making sure things don't come loose, things don't leak, things don't catch on fire. For example, either anti-vibration nuts or safety wire or lock nuts are used on pretty much anything with threaded connections. Not everything, but many things. The wiring is wrapped and routed very carefully to prevent shorting and also to prevent interference, electrical interference with the radios. There are a number of systems on aircraft that cars don't have, or traditionally don't have. When obviously cars don't typically need gyroscopes to be able to tell three-dimensional orientation in the world, or above the world. But
November 3709, November, contact message center 135187.
Is that 13587, 09 November?
3587. November 1 November Tango, 8 miles from
November Center 387, 09 November 6000.
aircraft phone is taken.
Yeah, Mooney 37, 09 November 6000.
Number 320, November, Mr. Roger, the final altimeter 3014.
3014, 09 November.
And November 09, November, you said you're at 6,000?
Affirmative, 09 November.
Roger that.
Okay. I'm on a instrument flight plan, so I got to make sure I'm talking to my controllers. With instrument flying, the responsibility for aircraft separation is taken by the air traffic control system. So the controllers have to make sure that I'm not going to run into anybody and nobody's going to run into me. As opposed to what we call VFR flying, visual flight rules, where that is my responsibility. Any advisory services provided by ATC are voluntary, and they are not liable or required to make sure I don't bump into somebody.
Foxtrot, I got higher fuel and clear traffic.
The traffic separation is one advantage of IFR flight. The other big one, obviously, is I don't have to avoid clouds. So, at the moment you notice it's a little bumpy here. Going through a cloud. The concern about airframe icing is one you don't generally worry about if you're VFR, because unless you're flying under freezing rain, through freezing rain, which is possible but really dumb and unlikely with VFR flying, you're not going to run into ice. Now you might take off with a little bit of frost on the wing. That's a really bad idea. Don't ever do it, because it destroys the smooth airflow over the wing. It can raise your stall speed by more than you realize. But with IFR flying, if you're flying near the freezing temperature, you can build ice anytime you're in visible moisture. So that's cloud, fog, and things like that. So you got to avoid that. And in my area right now, I'm headed down toward Texas. It's currently 43 degrees outside.
November, radar contact, 165 miles northeast of Austin.
09 November. So, and with that, I'm going to wind this one down, put it in the can, edit it down when I get to my destination, and I'll have it posted this morning. If not, I'll have it done shortly. Obviously, by the time you see this, it won't matter. Y'all take care. Do this again another time. Bye.